the church really needs to, come to a place where we show people that things that are secular are not necessarily evil.
Once we are having our vision should be clear that even if God is showing us a vision I mean now that
Yes.
what you will become and all that, when we are taking steps to fulfill those purposes, we should not fulfill the vision without the God that gave us that vision. So as we are fulfilling that vision, going to the marketplace, we should hold our God and show him in that place. On today's episode on the mindset trap, we'll be looking at the religious aspect, and our focus is based on excellence beyond the four walls of the church. And on this episode, I have with me a man full of wisdom. That's Minister Olaopa Olajide Micheal, popularly known as Seraph Media. So thanks for joining us today, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'm so glad to be here. I'm honored. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yes, sir. You're welcome, sir. So today we'll be looking at our religious mindset and excellence beyond the four walls of the church, because there are many of us, especially youth and those of us privileged to attend campus fellowships and all that, or even if we didn't attend campus fellowship, at least youth are in our mother's church and all that. There are some of us that, based on the relationship we have with God, our fervency and all that in church, fire-branded brother and sisters and all that. So we think that everything we know about God is limited to just the four walls of the church, and you see people that because of their giftings and all that, probably I mean spiritual gift and all that, so maybe someone that even has the privilege to have the gift of the word of wisdom, word of knowledge and all that, if care is not taken, they'll think that kind of person should go into ministry full time, of which can happen. But what can you say about that, sir? So
all right. Okay. Thank you, sir.
yes, sir.
So once again, like I said, it's a privilege to be here.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you for this opportunity.
Yes, sir.
And thank you for what you are doing here.
Yes, sir.
I believe this is also a ministry.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You
sir.
are doing here. So I understand what you said and where you're coming from. So I think let me start like this.
Okay.
Before we started, I said there are certain things I really wish to touch while I'm here. And so let me start like this, that this mindset that you just described is not something new.
Okay.
It's something that has been for a very long time. And over time, God has helped the church to grow to the point that we are in. And yes, their mindset still exists.
Yeah.
So it started with, I believe the ideology started with when we divided sacred things from secular things.
Okay.
So we view certain things as sacred, that we have to do with God, and other things that are secular, like we view them in a way that God is not really involved or concerned about those kind of things. That the things that God is really concerned about, that God is really involved in, are those, in quotes, spiritual activities, things that has to do with what we do within the four walls of the church. So when people leave the church and they step out, it's a very subtle mindset. Sometimes it's not something people are even conscious of that they carry, but it's there. That consciousness is there. So the moment they step out of church, they feel like, oh, we've left the presence of God, and now we're in the real world. Meanwhile, if you look at scripture carefully, the real world is where you're actually sent to.
Exactly. Yes,
in that sense, the real world is where you're actually sent to.
Yeah.
So we have built a mindset that makes us feel like we are supposed to just execute whatever gift that God has given us within ourselves. Even when you have word of wisdom, when you have word of knowledge, you might have observed that so many people cannot exercise even those spiritual gifts that they have outside of the walls of the church. The only time they manifest those gifts is when they are within the gathering of believers. So it's a mindset problem.
Wow.
It's a mindset problem. So someone might have the gift of word of knowledge, for example, and the only place they manifest is just when they are in church service, when they are within
believers.
So when they get to their workplace, when they go outside, nobody has seen them do those things. So they feel like it's a church thing. So they've created this divide between the church world and the outside world. Meanwhile, where God sent us to, like I said, is outside of the church. So, like I was saying, it's not a new thing. And I think permits me to just brush over this, like, a little bit of history. So, if you look at church history, for example, this mindset prevailed at a point also that when you want to work for God, you have to be a priest consecrated fully to God. You will not do any secular work. You must give up everything. Of course, you are giving up everything in the world. But giving up in that sense is like, so you leave your family, you don't get married,
and just face your priestly assignments.
Exactly. Until today, there's still a denomination in Christianity where you still see that, and that kind of thing came from them too, from the initial place, and they still do that today. So that mindset was what prevailed for a very long time before people like Martin Luther came up and started challenging it, that people who are working in the secular world who are also working for God. The secular world is not a separate world from church world. The church and the world, we coexist together. We coexist within this world, even though we are not of the world, but we live in this world. And as far as we are in this world, everything we do, we are doing to the glory of God. Every work our hand can find doing is a kind of ministry to God. In fact, in the New Testament, Apostle Paul emphasized it that whatever our hands can do, we must do diligently. So all through Scripture, we see that the tone of Scripture towards work is not like towards anything we do as work, whether we think it of ministry now or secular work in that sense. Whatever it is that our hands has found doing, it has to be done diligently. It has to be done with a mindset that we are glorifying God. It has to be done that we are doing this unto God as a service. And I think that's the mindset that is missing when people leave church. So when they are in church, the activities they are doing, they believe they are rendering this thing to God. But the moment they step out, they feel like these things we are doing is just for ourselves. There is no longer the consciousness that what I'm doing here must still bring glory back to God. So once that consciousness is lost, then they begin to approach it with a very let's say with a very weird mindset, with a mindset that is not so scriptural. So like I was saying before we started, that work is not something that is an afterthought for God. Before Adam fell, God already instituted work that Adam would work.
Wow, that's true.
And if you look at it from scripture, even Genesis, it was not when Adam fell that work came in, because some people, another mindset issue that some people have is they feel like work is stressful. Work is yes, work is stressful. There is stress past work, if you are not going to deny that. Yes, but then the only thing when they hear work, what they think about is just the stress. They are not viewing it as something that God has instituted for them to bring glory back to God. So when they work, some people work grudgingly, just they grumble while working. And once that mindset is there's no way you can be excellent. Because you've already seen the work as a burden, not as something you are supposed to do with the whole of your heart, to enjoy doing. So you are already thinking of it like this thing is stressful. But then when your mindset has been programmed in the way that you feel, oh, this is, even if this thing is tedious, even if it is stressful, anything that my hands find doing is a form of worship to God, it's a form of ministry to God, it's a form of service to God, then I will do it with the whole of my heart. But when that mindset has been shaken, has been removed, then you see people doing things like in a very odd way. So I think that's one of the issues. So it's a mindset, like you said, like the podcast topic says, is a mindset that has been formed over time through teachings, through let's say teachings. That's basically what forms our mindset is information.
Sure.
So things we've been exposed to, but that's not what actually the Bible shows us or what Scripture shows us. So it's a very wrong mindset, and it's the reason why outside of church, in fact, inside of church also, people don't take certain things serious because they don't look spiritual in that sense. So Say for example, we grew up in the CNS church
Okay.
environment. For example, when you see the way our setting is, we promote people who have spiritual gifts a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If you have grace in the place of administration, for example, you might not be easily quickly recognized.
Exactly.
Because people also like, well, you can
Just manifest and do that.
you can what was that one? Come on, prophesy to us and let's hear God. That's what we term as spiritual. That's what we feel is, oh, this one is the real deal. Meanwhile, when you look at First Corinthians 12, for example, Apostle Paul mentioned administrations as part of spiritual gifts.
Mm-hmm.
But because it doesn't come with the spooky vibe, when I come to you, it doesn't look
maybe with the manifestation of prophesying.
Exactly.
And all that.
So we just take it like it's just one of those things, and we don't really, people who have those gifts in our midst, they are not really recognized. They are not really celebrated in that sense. Even we know they are not going to be celebrated.
Sure.
But what they possess, that skill, that ability, we don't really see it as something to be grown. The way we take all that
prophesying and all
of that. So people can fast, people can fast, pray for long just because they want to grow in prophecy, to have dreams, to have visions, to lay hands on the sick. How many times have you seen people fasting and praying that God will give them grace for administration, that they'll be able to manage church?
Wow.
Meanwhile, it's a spiritual gift. It's a spiritual gift. Then, but still, people feel like it's just one of those things. So when you see people in church that have these abilities, yes, even in church, let's not even go out of church. Even in church, the excellence is not showing because there's a mindset that has hindered. Even so, it's what you recognize that you won't work on. But since it's never recognized in the first place, how do you then
work on it for excellence?
So excellence is not even in view at all in that sense. So yes, there's a lot of things we need to unpack during the podcast. I believe God will help us.
Please, before you continue watching this video, kindly take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please kindly turn on your notification so you can get more edifying content when we post. Thank you.
Something happened. I remember that was years back when I was in unification. By God's mercy and privilege, I happened to be an escort twice and all that, and probably because of our zeal during our stay on campus and everything, there were some people that were escorts together. They actually thought after school I eventually end up in ministry and all that, because as escorts you pray and all that. So during our meetings, maybe especially during escort meetings and all that, some things will happen by God's grace, manifestation of some kind of giftings and all that. So it was clear that you okay. you end up in ministry. In fact, there was one that were very close then. It was like, you don't worry, once you end up being a minister, I'll be the one financing your church and stuff like that. You are doing all this. So now where am I going to use? After that, when I now went back to my furniture works, because I learned all that before coming to school and all that. So when I went back, most of these people, they were kind of disappointed. I knew they were disappointed, but the only thing they couldn't do was to just walk up to me and why would you go and be doing furniture when you are not doing ministry? As a matter of fact, there was one program like that year that some of those who were schools during my tenure, they were invited for a program in the same unification and all that. And during the administration, of course, we all minister by spirit and all that, but there are times that some ministration, you know where it is coming from. This is where I'm going to. You can hear teachings like, probably if you are not doing this for God, you are wasting away. If you are not the ministration at some point was as if it was directly to me, probably because I was doing furniture and not ministry, as though I backslided. In fact, after the ministration, my wife now, when married, then we're just in a relationship then and all that. She came to meet me after the ministration that am I sure I'm not supposed to be doing ministry? I'm serious. I'm saying this before God and man. Am I sure I'm not supposed to do ministry? Instead of falling to that, didn't you hear this ministration? This is talking to. I said I know now, but when God didn't call me, will I call myself? Everybody will do what they are supposed to do, and of course, I know that this is what the Lord has called me to do. So there are times that our excellence and everything. Even as a matter of fact, I feel that now there's a problem in the country. Now imagine all of us are ministers, all of us are pastors. Now, did you see what just happened? That any pastor that anyone that preach in public transport would pay 50,000 naira. Imagine we have a child of God in politics. Who will stop that? Now, see, there are many things happening in the world that prayer is everything, but there are some things that prayer will not solve if there is no man in power that can change that thing. Do you know there was someone sitting in that meeting or in that conference where that bill was passed? He could have tackled it, but because there was no one. And who do you think would bring that kind of suggestion? Is he a believer? Is it someone in the church? We now see where our problem lies, that all of us, we are burning for God, but all of us are seen in the same place. So imagine you are burning for God, I'm burning for God, every one of us, we are burning for God, and all of us, we are sitting down in the church. We'll just keep burning ourselves there. Now, we don't have someone going to politics. We see many things. We complain about fashion and this, all that. They are wearing, ladies are going nude and all that. Okay, how many of us that the light we've seen in church, we are bringing it to our work in a way that it can glorify God? Even the business some of us are doing, we are not doing well in our business. And if we find out very well, let's check online, check records, see businesses doing well. Of course, we know that it is now that I think we are being enlightened as Christians that we begin to see people doing great things for God. Check years back, you will see those doing great things in the world per se, especially succeeding in business and all that. They are the people on the other side. So if we'll be saying things like that, and all these things, they're actually mindsets. Like, we are not taught, we are not schooled that. And of course, it is now that we are seeing people rising, some apostles and all that, people letting us know that excellence is not about just speaking in tongues, just praying. Even in your place of work, your work can glorify God and all that stuff.
I'll take a very nuanced position on this matter, because now let me start with the bill that was passed. On that matter, I thought about it, and yes, let me say we have people there and we do have people there. I'll tell you why I say that. Now, if you look at the Senate in Nigeria currently, there are people in those seats who are acclaimed Christians. It's not like when you go to the Senate today, you will not see anyone, not more than one. In fact, we have a large population in the Senate, but that bill was still passed successfully. So it's like we said, it's a mindset issue, and we try to break it down. So the issue is that I feel what we do most times is that we leave these things like politics, secular job, we leave it to those people we feel like are not firebranded. In that sense, people who have not been properly discipled. Now, when they end up in those places, because they don't have proper solid foundation, discipleship, work with God, they compromise very easily. Now, people who God has raised, who God has helped to grow conviction, many times they don't end up in those places. Or should I say it in this way also, that largely in our time, like I said, we still have to differentiate between excellence and aesthetics in that sense. Excellence will always lead to aesthetics. Aesthetics might not be excellence. Now, largely in our day, in our time, like you said, the message of we going into the world, there was even a time that this message was very trendy. Some mountain of influence, believers must, this message of we conquer the seven mountain of influence was so rampant. But then we realized that after a while, believers actually got to these places. But what happened when we got there was that many people ended up compromising.
Wow.
There's something I want to say now that I feel like it might be too sensitive for a podcast. I'm going to cite an example that is well known to us. But then let's just in the political world, if you can think back to a few years back,
Okay.
we had major Christians in certain offices in Nigeria, but
Okay.
then the effects did not show. Now, where I said is nuance is this: the problem is not one thing. The problem is multi-phased. It has many. There are many issues to cut.
Wow.
So one of the issues is the first one we're talking about. People thinking that those places are not where believers
Can go to. Wow.
That's one. Another one is when we eventually have people who want to go to those places, they are not well discipled. They go there seeking for their own benefits more than seeking for the advantage of God's kingdom. Because I'm very sure, take stock of the Senate today, there are Christians in those places. There are Christians in Nigerian politics. Some people say that Christians are not going to politics, they are not going to politics. I don't actually agree, because at least now you can count like 2 or 3 states that their governors are Christians. In fact, there's one governor in the north who is I think is a reverend.
Okay.
The Orthodox Church. And the things that are going on in the states are terrible. Like the things that even he does. When we hear some news from the states sometimes, you wonder like, what's going on here?
I think the another problem even is that even in church now, if someone a church that do not understand this, and someone is saying, okay, I want to go into politics, do you even know that it is even the church that will first discourage their own? I think in the last presidential election, a pastor showed interest, a well-known pastor that has a church that has many members. I think he lost in the primary or so. I watched that. I can't really remember the amount of votes he had, but I'm sure that amount of votes is not to 10% of his church members.
His church members.
So who are the people that voted for him? So even we ourselves, we are discouraging ourselves.
Yeah. So one thing about politics is that Nigerian politics is actually a sham, like
a dirty game.
It's not really a dirty game. It's messed up in the sense of, I'm not even talking of the corruption. Is that Nigerian politics does not have an ideology behind it. If you look at America, for example, if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, you already know what the two parties stands for. You know what these people believe, their mindsets. If they get into power today, you can predict
what they will do.
If these ones get into power, you already know their mindsets.
Yeah.
But in Nigerian politics, that does not exist.
We can't even predict.
If PDP gets to power today, you don't know what you can't even predict. If ABC enter power today, you don't even know the ideology that is formed, that rules the party. There's no ideology. And why I say that is because that lack of ideology in politics has spread to the church also. So that we view politics from a place of that doesn't have any ideology. There's no ideology driving.
Like I say, you can't even predict. Even if we drop our own, you can't predict what it will become when it gets there.
And even we ourselves, we are not voting based on ideology. We are just voting people. So when people now come out to say, "Oh, I want to go for this position," what we are seeing is a person, not an idea. No matter, so we are not. Even we ourselves, we are not ready to receive. We are not ready to be sold an idea. Like, if somebody comes and says, "Okay, I have a vision, I have an ideology, I want to, drive through this office," we have been so used to person politics. Does he have influence? Does he have, we start doing all the analysis
around the person.
Does he have God that can support him? And most times, Christians don't realize that when they speak like that, they are adding to the problem. Because you as a believer must take a stand that, as far as politics is concerned, it's part of my civil right as a citizen to be involved in it. And I will be involved, when I'm going to be involved, I will be involved with my Christian values and my Christian ethics. If I see a candidate that is morally upright, that aligns with my belief as a Christian, I should go for that person. But no, you won't find that among many Christians. What you see most times is, we do this party thing that my father is a APC member, my mother is a PDP. Let's just follow the crowd. We are also following the crowd.
It's as if we ourselves, we don't know what we want.
We don't know what we want. We are just following the crowd. And it was very evident during the election that brought the current president.
Okay.
It was so clear because we can see this on live. On live. Why would we have a Muslim ticket in a nation that is multi, religious, and there were Christians who supported it with their whole ass, with their whole mind. They didn't see anything
wrong in that.
They didn't see any issue with it. In fact, this Senate thing you just mentioned, I've seen a pastor say that Christians should not talk that it is not persecution.
And so, do you even know that something again is already rising? I think someone else is raising that Islamic studies and all that. Did you see that?
I've not
It should be added to curriculum in school and all that. So problem is coming gradually.
So we have Christians in it's not, we can't say we don't have Christians in these places. That's one thing I believe. We have Christians in these places. We have Christians in politics. In fact, we voted Christians in power in this country. But when they get there, what happens? So that's why I say we ourselves we don't know what we want. Our politics, and that's another part of what this podcast is covering. We have separated politics from our church mind. So we have our Christian when it comes to politics, we separate it from our Christian values. So someone who is even a pastor who is preaching and saying, is preaching for justice, for righteousness to prevail. When it gets to politics, he has a favorite. Maybe because that person has helped his business one time or one thing.
The vision is changing.
The story changes. So you see a pastor, because one thing that shocks me is you can't say, like, I have this ideology that you can't say you're a pastor and you support certain people. It's contradictory to each other. You can't say that even as a believer, let's even go to fast with a pastor, because what this person stands for does not represent what your faith stands for. I'm never saying the person should be a Christian.
Even though we are not religious bias,
but let's person even be a Christian. But the
lifestyle and
their lifestyle is what they stand for, what they have portrayed themselves to be in public does not stand for what your Christian value stands for. Why are you supporting this person? If you look at America, for example, Christians are more on the right side because the right ideology aligns more with Christianity. They are anti-abortion, anti-gay, anti-LGBTQ. On the left side, they know that anything goes. And you will likely find people who are not Christians on that side. That's why I said we don't have an ideology. Like, our Christianity has been, and it comes down to, let's even say the problem starts in the church. Let's not even talk about going outside church. The problem started from within the church, that we separated certain things from our Christian ethics. So politics, for example, I've heard people say this thing, like that church and politics are two different things. Somebody can, in fact, because there's a quite popular super pastor in Nigeria that was supposed to be a particular politician one time. People were like, this person you are supporting,
it's the wrong person.
Whatever it stands for is wicked. Let's know, like, this is,
let's call it speed.
You are supporting wickedness, and his followers is what he teaches in his ministry is that the politics is a separate thing, Christianity is a separate thing, and the reason is not far-fetched. This man has an oil rig that he goes through this politician that he's supporting.
Wow.
So you can see the problem. Now, his Christian values is not being transferred into his political views.
Wow.
So how do you expect, now look at what he has taught his members also, that politics is, anybody can choose whatever they would like. If politics is a open conscious thing, that statement sounds very innocent on the surface. But the issue is that if you say nobody can vote for whoever you like, and that's very true and very correct. But as Christians, even if you want to vote anybody you like or anybody you want, your voting should still be guided by Christian worldview, by Christian. You should still approach it knowing in mind that this thing you are doing, God will still account for it before God. Let's say that way. But when you have removed the ideology, or you have made it look like it doesn't matter at all, just do whatever you want. As far as politics is separate, God is on this side, then the problem continues. So I feel like the church has over time, that's just one of the problems. Like I said, you have a lot of problems on ground. So that's just one problem now. There's a lot of problems. So those that don't want to, those that even feel like politics is a dirty game, no Christian should be involved at all, those ones are an even bigger problem. So we have a lot of problems to deal with, and we are using politics as a case study in this scenario, that the church really needs to come to a place where we show people that things that are secular are not necessarily evil. For example, if you say something is secular, by the definition of the word secular, it's just something that is non-religious in that sense. Something that is not coming from a religious source in that sense. When we start keep telling people that anything secular is bad, anything secular is evil, if we take the ideologies, if we stretch it far, nobody should be using a phone if you're a Christian.
Exactly.
You shouldn't be pressing a laptop. It's not a religious thing. Churches should not be using
live streaming
and all of that. But then certain things are just secular. They are just tools. They are just means. They are just like platforms. Anybody can, influence it. Either God, either Satan. If you leave that space, it will not be neutral.
Now, one of the problems is that if we check very well, there are some platforms or there are some things that both Christians and non-Christians, everybody, we are all benefiting from. That those that are pioneers of those kind of things, they are not in the church.
Yes.
And now, why is it hard that you barely see someone, especially, I think the story is changing now recently based on the some apostles God are raising to be teaching those kind of things. You barely see someone wake up and say I have a vision, and when you track the vision, even though the person is not like, I'm not seeing vision, I'm seeing tomorrow like this, but personal vision, like what the Lord wants for my life, the person will not bring it in a way that it will not only benefit the church, that it will benefit everyone, and it will be something that it will eventually glorify God, because that person's vision is eventually fulfilling God's purpose. So there are many things that even we do as per our business and career that even we ourselves, I think the problem is when we do not see that the work, you were saying before about work and all that, some of us do not know that even that work we are doing is a way it can fulfill purpose and eventually glorify God.
Yes, so that's one thing also. And something came to my mind when you were saying that about how we engage. Okay, yes, so I wanted to say this, that this problem started a long time ago, like I said, started a very long time ago, and it's a problem that needs to be dealt with. Now, I know this is of history, so I will just.
Okay, there's no problem.
Europe that we celebrate today, Europe, the Americas that we, everybody wants to jack pass with those places now, that we all celebrate today, was built by Christianity. No secular historian, no religious historian can debate that. Everything that Europe has built today was built because they adopted Christianity into their system, and they adopted Christian values and Christian visions. No, now when you look at this now, on the moral side, Europe is crumbling in the sense that there's a lot of moral issues that is plaguing them. The moment they, now they don't really involve themselves in Christian things, even religious things. They feel like, and now the effects, you can see the effects of their community already. But now why I pointed that out is because when you look at the Christianity that's entered Europe, it transformed their society. It transformed their economy, transformed everybody. Like I was saying, Martin Luther rose against the Catholic idea of sacred versus secular. I didn't want to mention that before, because in the Catholic Church, then if you want to be a priest, you have to be a priest, and you are the one working for God. Every other person is just a layman. We rose against these ideas, push for the fact that everybody that is working to the will of God. Europe grew on the wings of Christianity. It's not the truth. Many of the ancient, or let's use the word ancient or early scientists in the modern time that we have, many of them were Christians. Talk of Galileo, talk of Newton, talk of Blaise Pascal. They were Christians. These guys approach life from the standpoint of we have faith, and because we have faith, we want to make the world better. We want to understand our world better. Well, there's a Christianity that has been sold to us now, and thank God it's being corrected now. That makes it look like, once you are saved, though, the whole world is just a bad and evil place. You are not supposed to involve yourself in anything. Just
face your Christian life.
Just face your Christian life. Just focus on God. Just focus on God. Just focus on God. Face your Christian life, and then you die and you go to heaven. It's an escapist idea. I just want to escape from this world. But God did not save us just so that we can escape out of this world. whether even if you escape it, you are still coming back. Anyway, you'll be anywhere. So whether you're escaping to, you will still come back. So like, and you are right about the fact that so that mindset now grew, and I don't know how it happened over time. I then okay when the because this thing also lies on a particular thing I want to say how I can bring it into this, that our Christianity has been or Christianity has been painted to us to be devoid of intellectual mind. That's when you see people who reason with their mind, who use their head, they make you feel like you are less of a Christian. You know, we have been so afraid that just believe. Just believe, don't use your mind. Your mind is not needed. And that's not scripture. I brought that in because when the mind becomes lazy, the innovation is not possible.
When the mind becomes lazy, innovation is not possible. That's true.
So when our mind has become lazy, it's not possible to be innovative. You cannot be innovative when your mind is lazy. So the kind of Christianity that was sold to us is the kind of Christianity that resists the power of reasoning, using your mind. And meanwhile, Paul was writing to Timothy, he said, God has not given you a spirit of fear, but a spirit of love, power, and what?
Sound mind.
And a sound mind. Part of the things that God has given us is to use our mind to develop things, to reason, to create solutions, to look for ideas. You know, today, let's not even go far. I will share something now. Today, there are Christians who are still doubting medicine. Like,
you say use drugs and all that, yeah.
They feel like if you use drugs, you don't have medicine. You know that.
Yeah, sure.
There was a case on Twitter. Was it this year or last year? I think that was last year. One popular woman like that. If you use Twitter, you know this story I'm talking about. She had cancer.
Okay.
She was quite popular. People rose to her situation that, oh, let's contribute money. Let's donate money. They donated money for her. They did all of that. After she received the money, so as a cancer patient, she was supposed to take blood transfusion.
Okay.
And the donation was against it. She died.
Wow.
That was how she died. She resisted till the last breath that she never took the blood transfusion, and it was because something has been sold to her that medicine is not,
or probably the blood is the blood of another person.
So it has been sold to her in a way that this thing is not faith. It's anti-faith. If you take, there are people who believe that
different things are being taught.
Yeah, you feel like, I have a day. Oh, brother, use paracetamol. Say no, God will heal you.
It's a big factor.
Yeah, you can trust.
Though we believe the supernatural,
yes,
definitely.
Supernatural. But the moment you start demonizing medicine, like if I use this thing, I'm less spiritual because I use drugs. And the problem has crept in. So it's now looking like, those are the little mindsets.
Things before we know.
Start creating this divide between. So we feel like God is not involved. So at the back of that mindset is the fact that you feel like God is not involved in the mind that created that drug. Or God cannot inspire people to find solutions to headaches. Malaria that we have today, that everybody have malaria, you just dust it off. I feel like I have malaria. We all get this. At some point, malaria, you cannot all get it though.
You have to use medications. Sure.
It kills people in millions. But God gave some people the wisdom to bring out solutions to those things. So our problem, like we said it before, our problem is that when we start seeing something that does not look spooky, there's nothing like one voice coming. There's this idea of what is spiritual that we have an idea of if something is spiritual, it has to come in a particular way.
Spectacular.
So if the thing is not coming in that way, they will start feeling like this thing is not fit. It's not fit enough. It's not fit enough. It's not fit enough. Even sometimes, even on the personal basis, when God intervenes in some people's situation, they still don't know that it was God that is intervening in their situation because the way the thing came is looking very natural.
Simple.
It's looking simple because we miss this fact that God can work in every areas of life. So that's exactly part of the mindset that it has developed. So it shows in different ways. It shows in different ways. So that's dichotomy. It shows in different ways. So when it now comes to working, looking for, like you said, looking for solutions, like a Christian, inventing something that even unbelievers can use, something that can glorify God. By the time let's even start with this. Is someone that even thinks that even has the thought or the idea that the secular world is not evil, that we won't think of innovating something.
Something, exactly.
So when you have been taught all your life that anything that is not church is, there's no way you really want to look for. So there are problems out there that God is expecting people to solve, to look for solutions to. But there's already a mindset that everything we have is just to do church things, to sing to God, pray, and
sit down in church and just all your manifestations, every talent, everything, just
church, just do everything in church. So, and thank God thank God for over time for knowledge, for pushbacks against these things, because I know churches now have NGOs where they go to at least those little things to show that at least we are taking our surrounding serious. That we start reaching out to people to say, okay, we want to give you new material, we want to do this, we want to do that, and but it must go beyond that. That's good, but it must go beyond that. It must come to a point where we make it clear in the mind of Christians that this world we are in, even though we know the world it will keep getting worse, at least in a moral sense, the morality might not be better, but God in the Bible did not say that because of that we should give up on making sure that the world, on doing our best to ensure that the world it becomes better. Just like because you feel like, just like this mindset, if you feel like, because if you close your door at night and the thief wants to enter, whether you close the door or not, if the shoes gone so I can say open the door, you might even use your hands to
open the door.
But does that mean that because you know that if a thief comes, they can break this door easily? Does that mean that you not lock your door every night?
So,
I don't know if you guess.
Yeah, sure. At least you will lock it.
You lock it. Even though you know that if a thief still come, but at least you take a step to lock it first. Let the thief now come later. They will later break it. No problem. But at least you will not say because if they come, they will break it. I will not lock it. That's not being wise. You will still at least lock the door. So even if we have the idea that okay, the world is spoiled, everything will come to God will destroy this whole world, or there will be judgment at the end of the day. As far as you are still here, you should still do your best to ensure that it's still worship. It's part of our still worship. This earth is still God's creation. It's not you that will decide when it will be destroyed. So it's left to God. Even if you don't know the day that God will judge the earth. So what you can do, and so God that created this, He has given it to the sons of men, that the Bible says. For you to do your part as long as you are here. If God now comes tomorrow and say, okay, today I want to judge your world, no problem. So that mindset is a lot, like I said, is a mindset problem, like you rightly said.
Because in fact, there are many platforms that preaching would reach thousands of people than the church.
Yes.
What do I mean? Let's see football, for instance. There's a footballer, a lady, I think is that not Rashidat? At least she normally posts things like Jesus Church on her page. Even her name is Rashidat. Yes. She converted to that. Now imagine someone who is a footballer. We've seen footballers that after they score, when they pull their shirt up, you see something like I love Jesus or Jesus loves you. So there are platforms now. Check those people doing very well. Probably music industry, we already know it is two different industries. We have the gospel and the secular, and of course now let's take football for instance, or fashion for instance. Do you know Mr. Peterson Okopi?
Yes, I know.
You know his wife? I forgot her name.
I know him by
what's her name? His wife, she's a fashion designer. Now there are many things this woman does that's glorifying God. Now imagine that in the fashion industry, someone doing well that you are looking up to, and the person now stands one day to be telling you that I got all this from God. Even Reverend Cosmas Maduka is a billionaire. I saw one of his videos in a meeting, and he stood up and said the secret of how I became a billionaire is in this thing. And what's the thing he rose up? A Bible. He said the secret to every secret he had to become a billionaire is in this Bible. Now, you saw a billionaire telling you that kind of thing. Will you not believe that Jesus? So there are many places that we can preach this gospel based on our excellence. But even if God is giving us that dream or vision based on our religious mindset, And one of the problem is that most of us, based on our close relationship and activities, many activities, because someone that is always in church, always around church, always morning, afternoon, night, and around church, to break out of that kind of thing will be hard. That when you are seeing vision beyond the church, even those that knows you very well to be in the church, the first thing that will come to their mind is this person is backsliding.
So let me come to that point. I wanted to talk about it when you mentioned that story at that time. So yes, about the fashion industry and the football, for example, let's start with that. Fashion industry, very good example, like very, very good example. Now, like I said, I'll still take a nuanced position because I think it's more about the quality of Christians we have in these places than the number at this point, because like you mentioned Peter Aposto's wife now, and she's been that very or something. I saw MFM do something like that maybe 2 years ago or something. They had a fashion show, MFM, where their members came, did some very modest dress, and did, I don't know how they call those things. What is where people model with clothes? One time, and it was very awesome. So it's very, very important. But then, like I said on the part of politics the other time, when we check around and look at the immediate dresses that we have around, more than half of the time it's Christians that are sewing them. So you see a Christian, that is a believer. Then when you see the clothes they used to advertise, let me even give this example. Sometimes you see a believer who is a Christian and the clothes they wear, you feel like I'm supposed to be wearing it, and they be like, it's what I'm a tailor. I have to wear what
I'm saying to attract people.
But then this is possible. You can do it without being immodest. So, like I said, it boils back to our curriculum as church, what we are teaching people. When we are teaching them to go out there to, use what they have out there, we must also teach them to do it in a proper way, in a way that glorifies God. Because the moment we remove that, they'll just go there for money and they have faith and just all of that. And I love the football analogy because those things really matter. It helps a lot of people. When you see people up there that everybody looks up to and they can boldly come out and say, I serve Jesus.
Imagine like someone like Ronaldo or Messi, maybe after a trophy, you need this to interview them and all that. And now say, I'm giving all the glory back to Jesus. Jesus loves you and all that.
And they, up there, things are very, very dicey than, up there, people are more complicated in the sense that somebody can, even on TV sometimes, when they do these interviews, they can accept the fact that you are talking about God. In some places. Some places will never allow you to talk about God. But some will allow you to talk about God. But the moment you mention Jesus,
there's
problem. So if those people can do those things, it's even good because it allows Jesus to remain in the marketplace. That everywhere you get to, you will not
see his name.
You see his name. There is not be that you get to football and then they've squeezed Jesus out of the whole system, and they are doing it systematically. And Christians are allowing you. The moment you are silent about your faith, the moment you, for example, as this studio, for example, there's a way you can run this thing and then you are a Christian. But it's possible that you can run this thing and people that come to use this studio might not know you are a Christian. At all. Until we now say that, but it's not supposed to be so. If anybody will come here, even without you speaking or telling them that I'm a Christian, there should still be signs that this place
is still talking about Jesus.
There's Jesus in this place. That kind of mindset is what we should go with. So now coming to, and that's a very practical thing that when people have seen you do short stuff all your life and then now say, once you go and do business.
This is not backsliding like this.
There's a big that thing needs to be we need to talk about it because it's a very serious case and it's actually true. And those people that feel like that, we cannot blame them because they have reasons to be concerned. They have genuine reasons to be concerned. You can come from a place of concern. Hope is not that you are saying all this because
of money or
anything. It's a good concern. However, the moment it crosses the line to feel like if the person eventually does this thing, then it means the person has backslided necessarily. Then it's no longer a concern. It's a wrong mindset at that point. people can do business and still be on fire for God. So, and I think on the other side, what I need to mention is that the fact that God has called you to be the marketplace in that sense does not mean that you should lose your fervency.
So
that's another thing that we must also talk about. Now, losing your fervency might is in different ways, because I remember one time I was listening to Pastor Ian, and he was talking about a man who was a doctor. He was a doctor, and the man said he wanted to quit his job as a doctor because he doesn't have time to pray like he used to, so now he feels like he's backsliding and everything. So now I'll use that as a balance now. Now, working in the marketplace sometimes takes a lot of your time. And let's say a doctor in Nigeria, doctors are scarce in Nigeria currently. One doctor can do rounds for 7 hours. So you might not have the luxury of time to pray like you used to, or that, maybe before you used to have a particular 6-hour stretch that you used to have, and then it's only you and God. That might not be possible, but you can still be fervent even in that situation. It's just for you to sit down and see how you can, you should let your time. If it's 1 hour, you can do it in a day, and you can do it fervently. God knows that it is not because you don't love Him that you didn't do 6 hours like you used to do before. And God knows, and God even wants you to work that job that you are doing. He wants you to save life with that your skill that you have. So people feel guilty when maybe they used to have time.
Oh yeah, that's true.
There is that I used to have
for activities.
I used to have time for a lot of time for prayer, but now maybe because I'm not working, yes, that feeling can come. But then you are not. You must understand that the work that you are doing, if you do it with the mindset that even this work that is taking my time from personal devotion, and you must not lose personal devotion. But even when you do the work and you have this mindset that I'm doing this to the glory of God, a time will come that you will have the balance will come. You might not get your maybe 15 hours of prayer back or 16 hours of prayer, but there will be a balance because you have brought God into it. God will show you a way to, do your work, maintain relationship with Him, and at the same time glorify Him in that work. So it's a thing of concern because let's go back to this, because yes, that stigma of if this person has become as black seeding can come up, and I think it's a genuine concern. It's a mindset that still needs to be raised. People can be fervent, and there's a man I don't know if you know him, Leke Hadla.
Okay.
It was, I think he was in, I don't know if it's the platform that Pastor
Oyemade
was invited one time. I've been following him before then because he's an apologist, a Christian apologist and all. Leke Hadla is a believer, very sound and solid believer. He's someone that uses his mind a lot. He thinks very deeply. Even on secular things, he's a very deep thinker. And he's a Christian, a very solid believer. He goes for, he has meetings with the top executive. He's not a very top executive. On the other hand, look at, I don't know if you know this woman. This is
Ibukunwa.
He's a Christian.
So definitely a businesswoman.
Very strong businesswoman. And you can see what she's doing.
In fact, I recently watched one of her programs. It was my wife that I was watching, and I was shocked that this woman was talking business and she was doing impartation. The impartation, she was not touching them. She was talking about if you want to be a kingdom financier, your business and this to glorify God and all that. She said, come out. And these people came out. She did not touch them to be laying hands. She was just praying, and I was hearing different kind of noise, shout. Ooh, and I was like, someone is doing impartation, a business person doing impartation card.
It's a mind, like you said, it's a mindset. So she has grown her mindset to know that even though I'm a business person, this is a calling,
fulfilling purpose.
This is not just a job. Some people just do their work as a job. Like I'm doing 9 to 5. Some people just complain. And this is one thing I say about Christians these days. They complain a lot. We complain a lot without looking for solutions. We complain a lot without being solution oriented. Just complain from morning to night. This Nigeria is not good. What are you doing? Nigeria? What are you doing on your own part about Nigeria? You that you are complaining that Nigeria is not good. If you ask you now that if you get your real money, you say, me, I will still my own soon.
Exactly. The problem.
You are part of the problem. You are So you see, these people like that we mentioned, they are solution oriented. They are oriented. Their Christian values follow them into their businesses, and they are using it strongly. They are not separating spiritual life from business life. Because that's what people do most times. They have separated their lives. They've broken it. One part is for them, one part is for God. God's part is all your life as a believer is what God has asked us to offer to Him. Every single thing, every single thing, every single thing. And when you look at scripture, we have so many examples of that even in scripture. People take Daniel for example. The thing that Daniel did in scripture still amazes me because if you know the cultural settings of that time, it's not things are not as easy as it is today.
No.
They were literally slaves in Babylon. They captured them, they were captured as slaves in Babylon. But these guys, and look at it, they fasted. They fasted, when we say they fasted, when the king gave them particular meal, they said, that's consecration.
Yeah.
That's their Jewish belief coming into, that's them carrying that mindset that even though I'm a slave in a strange land, I'm a stranger here, I know where I'm coming from, I know who I am. That's the mindset many believers do not have. When we get to the marketplace, we mingle.
We forget our God.
We do what every other person is doing.
Just to promote business.
Just to promote the business. And meanwhile, sometimes it looks like we are being short. Maybe we are not growing faster like people that are, But once now I realize it, if you stay long on righteousness enough for a long time, people will start noticing at some point that this person, his own is different. People will start noticing. I've seen this everywhere. I've taken my time to see it because when I was in school then, there was this man that taught us when I was in my first year. I've forgotten his name. When I was 91, I've forgotten his name now. He was a lecturer. When you go to his class, he was a very strict man. He must come to class on time. He was not wicked. I didn't use the word wicked. He was a very strict man. And his strictness was because he carried his Christian values into lecturing. You can't bribe him. He will teach you, will not miss his class. There are some lecturers that will miss class until you buy handout to cover up. He will teach you, he will lecture you, he will do everything. You can't bribe him. You must come late, you must come for his class when you are supposed to. You write his exam, he will mark you what you're supposed to. Everybody knows him. Later, that man was promoted to become the director of our PPU in school. We later heard that he had a clash with our rector because when you are the PPU is the unit in charge of planning the whole infrastructure of the school, what to build, you to build it, and all that. They are the one in charge. When he became director, I think he resigned at the end of the day because the man will not compromise. He will not just compromise, and everybody knew him. So it gets to a point that everybody will already know you, right?
We know for this one.
For this person, no. And there's a prestige you bring to you as time goes on, because when you were looking for who will be the head of PPU, that was one of the things you considered. That this
imagine
this man is a very
the righteousness eventually brought recommendation.
A recommendation. But most times Christians feel like if I'm not causing corners now, or if I'm doing this righteousness, what is in it for me? What do I stand to get from it? Or when you're in a workspace where everybody is not doing their job, because that's another kind of marketplace experience that people used to have. You get to a workplace, and by the time you join, maybe from outside, before you join, you feel you were coming with this energy that I work. By the time you get there, you just see like everybody is just like civil service, for example. They just tell you that don't kill yourself with work. You just collect your salary and go. And then you now start saying, no, I will do my work as I'm supposed to do it. It will get to a point that it will start speaking for you. I'll use an illustration, I'll use an example. I grew up in Akure. There's a man randomly, because why I use the example is because I saw a video of him trending again this year. Like 4 years back or so. There was this what do you call it now? This is that direct traffic.
Road now.
Yes, or just road warning.
Yeah.
That was the job the man was doing. I don't know if the man is a Christian or not.
I think I saw something like that video.
He
does work diligently and all that. It's always online. Yeah.
I saw the man training again this year, and I was not like, this man trained a few years back. If it has to be somebody else, and people, it's not that people reached out to him then, gave him donations, appreciated him and all that. If there should be somebody else, that would have been the end of his working in that job. But to be somebody else, you might not hear of him again. But I was now surprised that after many years, I still see this man doing the same thing that he has been doing over the years. Like, it's impressive.
Wow.
There's a track record he has for himself. Now imagine a recommendation wants to come from anyone. If a recommendation comes from him, it is very easy for that recommendation to go through.
If he has proved himself over
the years. One of the problems that Christians have most times, we don't want to go through that period of proving that this is my values, this is what I stand for. We want the results quickly. We want results. So we have become so result oriented that when we get to the marketplace, we don't want to stand on our Christian values for a long time. We just want, and that's why I said we come to the place of excellence against aesthetics. The fact that you want to be excellent, you want to do things excellently, does not mean you must cut. In fact, it means you should not cut corners. Because the moment you cut corners, it's no longer excellence.
In fact, the excellence should be traceable.
Exactly. So the moment you cut corners, and that's one of the fears I have for people who enter politics for now. I really want to see somebody in politics in Nigeria that will stand up and will know that, okay,
this is for God.
This is for God. For example, I used to talk to a particular brother in church, and when we were discussing about the slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade that the Europeans had, colonized Africans and they were trading people as slaves and all of that. When the slave trade would end, the people that ended the slave trade were Christians. Martin Luther Jr., Wilberforce, there was this man in Congress then. I wanted to mention, I said that, but I wanted to mention Congress, their Senate. It was one man that stood and insisted that slavery must end. I remember I read a book where I saw his letter that John Wesley wrote a letter to that man to commend him for the work he was doing in Congress. They were giving him support. The opposition is a clergy, he's doing his own mission work. But that man was doing work in clergy, and Martin Luther too was doing his own work. Martin Luther Jr. was doing his own work too. Canvassing as no. And these people were Christians. That could only have been possible because they came with a mindset to that place that there's a Christian mindset they came with. But when people get to power and the mindset is not there, they are just occupying the position. That's when you now start. It now looks as if we don't have them there. Meanwhile, we have them there. Like I said, I don't believe that we don't have Christians in politics.
I'm not just seeing the effect.
We're not just seeing their effects. We're not just seeing they've traded excellence for, let me call it, aesthetics in this context. So now, and that also comes back to the church also, because sometimes in church, the things we celebrate certain things without glorifying certain things. Such that in certain churches, not everywhere though, as long as you have the money, you have the influence, nobody cares how you got it. Nobody is bothered, is concerned to know whether you are in truth or you are standing in righteousness or not. As far as they can see you buy the cars, wear the clothes, give the donations,
I know that
you are good. Nobody is striving you to say, sometimes I look at it like there are some Christian gatherings that you see senators, you see, like I mentioned in church in Akure right now, there are senators come to, I'm not even talking about a particular church, you see in this church, kings, like I'm not talking about
those mere people,
like you can, like 10, 20, they patronize consistently. And I wonder, what if this pastor sit into the down one day and say, I heard that you are the senator of so constituency. What are you even doing to help those people?
That's glorifying God. And you are fulfilling your own purpose.
And you are doing your work. What are you even doing in your office? What are you doing in your office? When we have pastors that can challenge these people, like, you are my church member, I know you are in politics. You should be able to call them one day and say, come sir,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? I don't know if you get it.
I guess so.
What are you doing? What's Yes, I do. We know you are a senator. We are giving to the church. No problem. We bless God for that. But what are you doing? Your work as a senator. Are you actually doing your work? This, I think, is something that is not one thing that is something that will start with one person, but as time goes on, it will spread to the body of Christ. We help ourselves. We help ourselves. So that when we have somebody there, we don't leave them to themselves, because sometimes I feel like we don't talk to these people sometimes. We don't actually, try to make them see that we have you here, like what I did for Esther. If you are here
at a time
as this, it's because God wants you to be there. If people can talk to these people, it doesn't mean they will do what they're supposed to do, but at least to some extent, let's create that consciousness that no, we are not here just for
self gain.
Look at this. When people come to church and say, "Oh, they've got into a next level, they've been promoted as work, they've been promoted to maybe they've gotten an appointment as a politician." When we look at our testimony, sometimes it reflects our mindset. Many times we celebrate those things not because we are happy that we now have someone that will represent God there. We celebrate because we now feel like, oh, this person will now enter more money. This person will have more resources,
more influence and all that.
The God factor is not what we are actually celebrating. We are just celebrating the fact that we have more resources at our disposal. So it's a lot of work. Like we said, it's a mindset issue. It's a lot of, and if you want to break the mindset, we have to be brutally honest with ourselves. We can't be pampering ourselves to say the problem is not there. The problem is there.
Yes, there.
We can't lie to ourselves. There's a problem on ground. We can see that there's a problem.
So as per the solution now, I think one of the solutions I'll say a few things, then you say things, so we can just round up here. So I think many of us, it is time that when we are reading the scriptures, we should also see those that did well in politics and all that. We'll take imagine Daniel.
Exactly.
He didn't reign with just a king.
He reigned almost all the kings.
See, during his lifetime, there will still be recommendation, like those that every king that came after Nebuchadnezzar and all that, they reckon with him.
Most of those recommendations came because of his spiritual gifts.
Exactly. So once we are having our vision should be clear that even if God is showing us a vision I mean now that what you will become and all that, when we are taking steps to fulfill those purposes, we should not fulfill the vision without the God that gave us that vision. So as we are fulfilling that vision, going to the marketplace, we should hold our God and show him in that place. Just like if you get to any A small, you can check. If you have not observed, you will see an image of Boo in any A small. Did you notice that? So I'm not saying as Christians now, maybe as you get to the front of our showroom, you now see cross, or I now put the status of Jesus. But there's a way that we can run our business that people will still know that the reason why we are progressing and all that is because Jesus is involved.
Let me mention something to buttress this point you mentioned. That it doesn't mean that we hang a cross. The way we can run our business that will reflect Christ. I want to make an example. Many of us know Bovas. Today, the police station Bovas is popular across Nigeria now. And why did Bovas become popular? There was a time when there was this West Country, everybody increased their price. They didn't. And when we trace, we found out that Bovas is a Christian. The owner of Bovas is a Christian, and when they interviewed them, they just said it's because they felt like it's wrong. It's not.
Why would you add more problem
to the problem of the people? That's a very Christian mindset. I was talking to somebody that there are sometimes I hear when I look at businesses that Christians run, sometimes I'm disappointed. Not because they are not doing their crafts well or anything. I'm disappointed because of how they treat their people. Something as small as that can reflect Christianity a whole lot. How they treat their staff. Just the way you treat your staff. Like you are not underpaying them. You give them the normal recommended. There's a label in Nigeria. And there are Christian organizations run by Christians that what they do there is contradicts even what the label of Nigeria allows for.
Okay.
Like the labor of Nigeria is better than what they are running. When you now look at it and you feel like this is not good enough. So all those things matters, all those little things, how we treat our workers, how we just how we treat our workers, how we treat them. I was talking to someone recently and he was describing a job that he did, and the founder of that company slaps his staff, like physical slap. It's not spiritual slap. He slaps his staff. Those kind of things should not be mentioned in the it shouldn't be so. So it's not about hanging cross every year and saying, hey, I'm a Reverend Father, I'm this. I've heard Christians complain about working with other Christians, and though I know people who are lazy, some people are some people want to be lazy, they are like they don't want to work. I'm not talking about those people. But then you should create an atmosphere where when people come, at least they feel relaxed. They have to work with you. Not that the guy is coming and everybody is running around and thank God we are not like that. At least I've seen how you relate with your people. Everybody will just come and say, "Oh, guys come here." Everybody just disappears and say, hey, the lion is coming. You are a Christian.
Not the one of the tribe of Judah.
Not the one of the tribe of Judah. This is an entirely different lion. Like the lion coming. Why? I understand that business can be messy at times. People can, try to swing new laws. People can be funny. But then, it's part of why we are Christians. Jesus didn't promise us that it's easy. It's part of the assignments. Despite the fact that people might try to swing you, try to do a lot of things. There are many ways to mitigate some things without becoming cruel. You can put principles in line with your business that you will not become a bad person in the process. There are many ways to do it. So I think that's just to buttress that point.
Yeah, so thanks so much for joining us on today's episode. I really appreciate you. Thanks so much for coming, sir. Yeah, so thanks so much for watching, and thanks so much for joining us on today's episode of the Mindset Trap. We look forward to having more episodes on this Mindset Trap. Thank you so much. God bless.